just this little guy right here. It's a Copic airbrush system, and they don't use paint. I have a paint airbrush at home, which takes a lot of cleaning between every single paint color. You stop and you clean it all up, and then you wait for that paint to dry. This is all markers. They're all just simple markers for the Copic lineup. They go into the in there, really simple, and you start to strike. So like that, I take it out, I put the cap back on, and I'm ready to go to the next color. In any case, how many people here have tied poppers or made poppers? One, two, a good few. So there's a few basic things you have to do regardless of how you're painting them, and that is to put the popper head together with, here's the start. It's they're foam poppers. These are the rainy poppers, because the actual hook goes straight up the middle. You got to force it a bit. It lines up perfectly with the front, and there it is. I use epoxy on these. I put a thread base down, usually big fly thread, the uni big fly thread, and I do open loops up and open wraps back. I whip finish it, and I put a generous amount of epoxy on it. Epoxy, I found that it just sticks. My test is I get one of these that I've epoxied, and if I can't get it off by twisting it, we're good. I could do that with super glue, no problem. The next thing you know, your popper's spinning upside down. So I recommend that. Another thing I've been tying a few flies for this presentation, and I went to get some more hooks for some other poppers I'd done a little while ago, and I had nothing long enough in a shank to get onto this popper. And I went looking and looking and looking, and I found, you get it? And I wanted to find a hook, and I went looking through all my hooks, and I got thousands of little things, and I landed on a salmon hook. And these are salmon hooks that it went on these ones. And I just realized how much better a salmon hook is on these poppers than even the Mustad has the popper hooks. They've got a little bend in them so that keeps the shaft from rotating through the foam. And I put this one in because of the return on the salmon hook. It's right under here, it keeps it from twisting much. But the nice thing is, because it's an open eye, you've got a bigger eye, and cleaning out the eyes after you've dipped them in the varnishes can be a bit of a fiddle. And these, all I did was, I dipped them in the lacquer. I let the lacquer dry a little bit or drip off in, and I just literally went like that and cleaned the eyes right out. The only thing I suggest, and it's probably pretty what's the word I want? Obvious what you do. You line the hook up, but the actual popper is got a slanted nose, and you just line that hook up dead on with the nose of the popper. It's pretty simple. It's kind of intuitive. In any case, what I next do, I leave them usually overnight. So I put the epoxy in one night. I go to bed. I get up in the morning, and it's usually absolutely cured and soft. The next thing I did was, when I first started painting these, I would paint right onto that foam. And the foam has a strange furry feel to it. And you paint it, and it enhances that furry feel to it. So, and then you start dipping it or painting it, and then you start dipping it, and it takes you about 12 coats of varnish to get the fuzzy lumpies out of it. So I went down to the Home Depot, and I got myself a bucket, the smallest can, which will last me about 100 years, a can of exterior primer paint. which dries very quickly. It's a latex product, and I got 2 good coats of latex on them. I've got all my clips here on here, and I just use them to put these down. It keeps my hands out of the ink. Ink on my hands will stain for a while. Okay, very good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to do this process of getting that first bit of what I call base. One of the things you have to do with this ink is you have to start with the lightest color. Right? If I start with a dark color and try to turn it back to orange, it's just not going to work. I have a real paint, what is it? I can't remember the name of the paint, but it's a paint. But I have a real the other airbrush that uses paint takes a lot of time, and with those ones you can do that. You can go back and forth from black to white, from dark to light, from light to dark. So just what it's doing, what this little gun does. Sorry, is that on the camera?
I got you.
So there's the nib of the pen. There's ink in these pens. They seem to last forever. I've had these for 5 years, and I have only had to buy a refill. You can refill them. That tube. It's about $8-9, and that tube will recharge this pen 3 times. So, and that's the price of the pen when you buy it. There's a small nozzle right here at the bottom that blows the paint out, and it just literally strips ink off the tip of that paint, up the tip of it, and it starts to paint. So can you see that? Yeah. Okay, so here's some keys. Sorry, when I bought this kit, it came with this aerosol kind of bottle. It's the canister of air pressure. It worked for about 20 poppers, and it dried up. And I bought another one, and I thought, well, this is going to be really expensive. So these are about $22 plus tax on them for each one of them. So I went to Home Depot and see if I could get a small compressor. And the one I have right here, I've had it almost, 2 cans of that in. And that was under $100, and it's just a marvelous compressor. They're very easy to find. You can change the air pressure coming out, so you can either have it really blasting, or you can have it a nice light spray. There's a couple things you have to be aware of with these guns, and that is that if you get the nib too close to that popper, you're going to end up with wet paint on it, and you got to take it apart or take it off, repaint it, let it re-primer it, and start again. So the key is you let the gun do the work. It's not a straight shot. It's going to come up like that. Right? The ink comes off it like that, not straight out. So get it going. I'm going to be about probably 5 to 6 inches away from this, so I don't make a splatter on it. And I'm just going to start the process. It's a nice. Too close, as I say, you'll get these splot marks. And you always want to keep the brush moving. You don't want to sit it still. Okay, we're going to change the color. So on my other brush, I get up from my desk, I go to the sink, and I rinse it all out. But not this one. There's two ends to these. They're artist's markers. There's a great big nib on that one, and on the back side is what we use for the gun. So we didn't have to get to the sink and clean it. I'm just going to fill in that nice yellow. Sometimes I'll go back and repaint it, like give it another spray of paint if I want it to take on more of a depth of color. So that's that done. So we do this, and then we do this. Look, it dried. It's all done. It's dried. It's amazing. I got it all figured out. So we go on to the next stage where that's nice popper, and you could probably varnish it and tie some nice feathers, and there's some crystal flash or some flash blue on the back end, and fish it. And you probably catch fish. But the whole idea of this was to be a little bit different. So I use a lot of this stuff. Whenever I go over to their house, I ask them if they have any, the 3 garlic bulbs you can buy at the grocery store? Have you got any garlic bulb bags? Because I really want them. I really love them. So I collect them. No, we don't. Stop it. Anyways. Just threw it one. So I cut a little piece out. I can use this multi-times, but what I have to do when I finish using it on every fly, I must go down and wash it, because the inks, they stay tacky for a while. And if you get the ink on this and put it on the nice clean orange, right, whatever color I was painting will get on it. And so, why do I have all these clips? Because these clips make it easier for me to do this. This is going much faster than I expected. So, there we go. Now we do this. I'll try and get that on it as best I can. Okay? Sorry. So I'm terribly sorry. I'm not used to this. So I'm getting it. I've got it, the popper inside this little mesh bag sort of thing, and I'm trying to get it as tight as I can. Okay, so the inks can't get in and under the mesh.
So this is to mimic the scale pattern.
Yes. You can do all kinds of different. I cut templates as well, which will make it's like these ones, right? So they're all exactly the same design. So we're going to get this nice red out. And this is a little bit more difficult, because what you want to do is you want to make sure that you get the same amount of scales on either side. I'm not taking it to the bottom. I'm just going to take it on the top and a bit on the sides. So it's a okay, I'd like to stand. Can I stand and keep this down?
As long as I can see your hands. Yeah.
Okay. Is that all right?
That's good.
Okay, so I'm going to make sure my red's working. Get her going. And I'm just going to, I'm trying to be very, very consistent with it. I'm going to let it fall where it falls. Okay. That's about good. If I pick it up and touch that orange paint with painted hands, it'll be a mess. So I'm going to take this. You can only do it once, because you can't put the mask back on, right? It's got to be sitting on the same. You'll never get it back the same. And I come off it, and there you are.
Slick.
Right? You see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll let that dry. But lo and behold, magic! It's dry. Isn't that amazing? So the next thing I do, I put, and I really apologize because I have everything to do the varnish except the varnish. It's sitting on my tie flying desk at home. It's a bit messy. It's a very, very, very fluid varnish. It's not tacky. It's like, it looks like watered down milk, and it's a water-based product. You can get that at above ground as well. It's a varnish that artists use, and it's called Liquitex Professional. And it's small. It's a bottle about the same size as this. You don't want to shake it. You just want to give it a little swirl. I don't think it really needs much mixing. You don't want to shake it because you make bubbles. And bubbles are your biggest enemy with varnishes, because the bubbles get into the varnish, and the next thing you know, all you've got is a bunch of holes in the varnish. So you want to be careful. So after I've dipped this, probably 2 to 3 times, every time I dip it, I clean out the hole, clean out the eye. Otherwise, you're going to really be in a mess, and you're going to have to cut it out or dig it out with a fine point X-Acto. I then take my eyes, and what I do is I always use super glue to glue them on. They have the tacky backs, and they're I don't know why they do that. Why they put it? I have no idea why they put that tacky back on it, because it's absolutely no use.
They sell more.
I beg your pardon?
They sell more.
They sell more.
Because they fall off.
Oh, I see. So I learned the hard way. But what I do is, after about 2 to 3 coats of the varnish, I then take the eyes, I glue them on, and then I do most of the varnishing after that. So that the eyes, the glued on eyes, are now beneath the varnish layer. So, here are the eyes. Let me show you. Good. I knew I brought it. I knew it was only one thing I'd forgotten. I, for some bizarre reason, seem to always gravitate to red eyes. Right? So, you know how to do that. You know what?
Booze.
I beg your pardon?
Too much booze.
Yeah, there you go. So, no, I go through a lot of red ink. I just like red. I like the yellows. I like the greens. The Copic system has over 150 different colors. A bunch of them you won't really want out of this system. I bought the white one. What a waste of money that one was. Because unless it's probably wonderful if you're doing artwork on a black background. But even the black, when I put the black ink on, I thought, oh, this will be great. I'll do the black ink, and I'll put the white on top of it, and it just got the black one wet. Nothing else. There was nothing. You couldn't tell. Anyways, what I'll do next, I'm not going to put these on. You know how to do it, but some people put them on dead on the side, right? I think that might be better for the fish. I don't know. I put them on the top because I like to see them. I'm not sure that's a good reason, but that's what I've been doing it ever since. So, there, the fish might be able to see at the back. You can just see the beginnings of the eyes. And every time I took the eyes on, I say, okay, a little bit further around the side. I put it on the side and I go, and then I put them back up top. I find also that white one that's going around, the white and red one that's going around, that's got about, I'm going to suggest, 2 times the body is the length of my length of the body is the dressing that I put on the rear end, And I find that that's about as far as you want to go. Otherwise, the fish will come along and they will just be, what is it? Fleecing their teeth with
Flossing.
yeah, fleecing? Flossing.
Flossing.
Thank you. Flossing the teeth, right. Sure. Flossing the teeth on the back end of my fly, which means I probably will have to replace something on that fly. So,
Stinger hook.
stinger hook?
Yeah.
I don't know, I've never tried it, but what I'm working on right now, I'm working on tube flies, tube poppers. And I've got a bunch, I've just put the tubes through them, got them all epoxied. They haven't been painted yet, because I'm doing experiments with them. I don't want to go to all the bother if it's not going to work. But the only thing I can find that really works is you got to use conjunction tubing on the back to pull your put the hook into the back of the tubing, so it's not just hanging around. Because one of the reasons this floats with the eyes up is because the hook point is down, and if you've got a flailing hook at the back of a tube fly, it's just going to roll around like whichever way the hook's going. It'll roll on the side.
You won't have the keel effect to keep it up.
Right, you got it. So unless you use the connecting tubes, the connecting tubes. Anyways, I'm going to put this in my vise now. And I use GSP 150 on this. Do you know, all know GSP?
Yep.
Great stuff. You can cut your head off with it if you're not careful. And I'm going to just wind on a bit. I won't try and Davey fail this off. I'm going to try and cut it off. And I seem to like these days this silver flasher bait. I'll leave the crystal flash out. I'm going to use, I took some hackles, some red and some orange hackles off a couple saddles when I was at home. Use these two. I'm just going to prep them. So as I said, I want them about maybe two widths. Two lengths of the would usually make for good ones. Two on each side. This one's a little bit longer. There's no right or wrong when you're dressing these flies. It's just whatever you kind of feel. Hey, that would be nice. I've got some marabou here. I'm just going to fish them on. I've never been able to spin marabou. So I think I'll just tie a punch on top and a punch on the bottom and call it a fly. I like marabou because it moves so nicely in the water. The nice thing about bringing magic markers with you, or pens, you can always use one of them. Well, what did I say? Twice as long? How about 4 times as long, okay? It's a little longer than I would usually do it. I'm going to trim some of that.
It must be the workout one.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll take it if you don't want.
Actually, I was going to offer it to Adam because he had been so kind to phone me up and say, would you like to do this? And I said, absolutely, I would love to do it. So,
Do you ever do rubber legs through the body?
I do.
You do?
I do. I have no children of my own. So these become my children.
Oh,
And I hate sticking things through, but yes, I do.
so when you do it before you finish it, or is it done after you've done the lacquering?
After it's all done. It would be done now,
Okay.
right? And I skewer it as best I can, and then pull it through with a bobbin. What do you call it? Threader. Thank you. And then I very carefully, as best I can, usually use UV glue to. But I hate poking. I hate poking things through them.
Do you ever find if it makes a difference as far as
Fishing?
fish are concerned?
It looks great.
Yeah.
Looks great. I've tied silly legs on the back end, and they kind of wiggle around nicely. I like the marabou back there because it does that on the pop. So no, I not usually, but it easily done if you've got the heart to do it. But I find it really, it's kind of creative and it's fun. I find it to be a relaxing thing because it's not a speed fly you do. You come back to it. And there we go. There we go.
Put the camera in it.
Oh, the camera. Well, there we go. So, Adam, if you want that, if not.